Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Kevin Harrington, and I'm an entrepreneur. I've actually been an entrepreneur for over 40 years. I started when I was 15 years old as my first entrepreneurial business, and I was very lucky because I had a father that was an entrepreneur, and he said, "Kevin, I want you to also be an entrepreneur." My father was my first mentor and did an amazing job helping me start businesses and teaching me along the way. And I really believe having a mentor is very important in your life. When I was 15, I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it got cold in the winter. And if you had a crack in your driveway, the water in there would expand the crack and freeze and be a real problem when the spring came around. So I started sealing driveways. I would knock on doors and seal the cracks, but also beautify and seal the driveway. And this became a pretty robust business for me. I was doing about 10 jobs a week. And when I graduated high school, I said, I want to take myself to the next level. The driveway sealing business is a summertime business, and I wanted to have an income stream, not just in the summer, but also the rest of the year. So I started a heating and air conditioning company. And by getting the list of all the new homeowners, we could call them and offer them a free welcome gift in the neighborhood by giving them a safety check on their furnace. And that got us in the door, and this is how we started our business. And we were then selling furnaces and air conditioning systems. And this business grew in my first year of college to $1 million in sales with 25 employees while I was going to school. So actually, at that point, I had to make a decision. By my sophomore year, I decided, okay, I'm going to keep the business going, supercharge the growth, and by quitting school, actually. This was a very difficult time in my life because my mother wanted me to stay in college, although my father was very supportive for me to be an entrepreneur. That led to another business then, as I was doing all this heating and air conditioning. It was very labor-oriented, and I realized that I wanted to get into something that gave me more visibility and more opportunity to network inside many businesses. So I actually became a business broker, and this was my next business. It was called the Small Business Center. What we did was we sold businesses, restaurants, pizza parlors, nightclubs, delicatessens, laundromats, you name it, flower shops. So I had the books and records of hundreds of companies, and we would sell the real estate along with it and the business. And this was, I call my curiosity days, my chance to see the inner workings of many different businesses, employees, and the cost of food in restaurants, and the lease terms in with malls and or landlords. So it was a real curiosity educational time for me when I was selling businesses. There I was attending a lot of trade shows. I went to the flower shows if I'm going to sell flower shops, and the restaurant shows to be knowledgeable about the restaurant business. And there I met a guy that was cutting through a Coca-Cola can with a knife. As I watched him pitch this knife set, it was amazing because it was, but wait, there's more. If you buy one, you're going to get another one and 6 free steak knives. So I said, what an amazing pitch that is. And that's when I said, wait a minute, that pitch can go on TV, because Discovery Channel was only an 18-hour-a-day channel. 6 hours a day, they had no programming. And so I started programming Discovery Channel on a local level, and then on a national level, picked up a 6-hour-a-day contract for a multi-year term, and I was providing products and programs to Discovery. That was the beginning of my As Seen on TV business. So that is now a business that I've been involved with for the last 30 plus years, because if we can sell knife sets like we did in those days, we can also sell food saver and food sealing devices and Tony Little fitness products and Jack LaLanne juicers and George Foreman. So I started dozens of companies, and actually more than 20 of these companies went on to grow to more than $100 million in sales each. And it all started as a young entrepreneur at the age of 15, just listening to my father and becoming a driveway sealing specialist at the time. So there's great opportunity out there for you too. So stay tuned and look forward to telling you some more as we go.
Hi, Gerard Adams here, entrepreneur, angel investor, and CEO of a social enterprise known as Founders. Grew up in a small town in New Jersey, and growing up it was really difficult. I wasn't the smartest kid. I wanted to play sports, but wasn't the biggest, wasn't the fastest. But I was blessed to be raised with a certain mindset throughout my entire life. And my environment got to me, and I've definitely had struggles growing up, but I continue to keep pushing myself and having, the belief that I was going to become successful one day. And I think it was because I really wanted to one day give back to my mother and my father for all the sacrifice they made for me and my sisters. But couldn't get into a good college, so I ended up dropping out my first semester because I felt college really wasn't for me, and I wanted to self-educate myself, and I really wanted to learn more about business. And at the time, I didn't even want to call myself an entrepreneur. I really was just interested in business. And mentorship is really what helped me when I dropped out to understand how to build businesses and how to be able to truly achieve success. And throughout my entrepreneurial career, I've failed many, many, many times. I've had to overcome early on adversity, early on failures, but I never stopped seeking mentorship and guidance from people that have done it before me so that I can learn, their tricks and all of their secrets on how they've been able to build successful businesses. And with the right mindset, with the right mentorship, I was able to build over 9 different businesses throughout my entire career over the past 15 years as an entrepreneur, all creating over 7 figures in profits. My latest venture was a dream come true, a company called Elite Daily. I wanted to create the voice of Generation Y, an online publication that spoke to millennials and hit many different verticals. One-stop shop discussing health, business, culture, entertainment, and just many other different categories. Me and 2 interns building this company in an apartment with just an idea, but we really rallied together and through that idea started putting things into action, putting our plan into action, building out our team. And over the next 3.5 years, we built the company from just an idea with the 3 of us to over 200 employees. And in New York City, deciding to compete with the media companies that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars. And a lot of people doubted us. A lot of people said we wouldn't be a real publication or that we would never really truly make it. But we didn't let that stop us. We created a culture that knew that the platform that we were building was bigger than us. And we started understanding our competition. We started understanding what we needed to do in order for us to be able to build a great product, to be able to get content and get that content viral in order for us to build a company that ended up doing 80 to 100 articles per day, 80 million visitors per month, creating the largest millennial publication at that time. And then strategically being able to raise capital through one of the biggest venture capital firms in New York City, with like a godfather in venture capital, and getting the right strategic partners, the right advisors, and then through strategically positioning ourselves to have a specific individual that was with the largest media company at that time, BuzzFeed. When he left BuzzFeed to go to a new company known as the Daily Mail, we were able to pitch that vision to him, tracking him down at an event, elevator pitching him, getting him to join our advisory board, getting him to see our culture, go through our data analytics, see what was special about our company, Elite Daily, and positioning us for an acquisition. And in 2015, we went through a gruesome acquisition process, but the dream came true, and we were able to sell that company for $50 million to $1 billion company. A lot of people thought that was an overnight success. I got to speak all over the world, and I wanted to become a thought leader for millennials to show them what was truly possible through the power of entrepreneurship, but that it doesn't happen overnight. And it took me over about 14 years at that time to get to that level of success. And there's certain things and certain, skills, both soft and hard, that you're gonna need in your life in order for you to get to that real success. For a fulfilling amount of success, but also monetarily, that freedom, and to really live out your passion, your purpose, to build that dream that you really want to take and that they have that burning desire. And entrepreneurship is not for everyone. So we'll get into that in a little bit.
Hi, I'm James Kaplan. I'm a quantitative hedge fund manager. I'm 24 now, and I've been doing this since I was 18. When I was 18, I met my business partner, and back then we were really just into programming and we're trying to find a way to make money. He had this small software project called Fastest Fox. It was so simple. All it did was help people use Wikipedia better. But we wanted to make money, so we had to find a way to monetize. We ended up partnering with a company called Superfish, which helped us make money on affiliate commissions. Now, eventually, we started making up to like $1 million a year in revenue, and we hated it. We hated every day of doing this marketing and trying to acquire users and supporting users and all of that stuff. So we said, you know what would be much better? How can we make money with our money? And we started investing. My favorite investment from back then is one that sort of bit me in the back today is we recently sold off $5 million in Ethereum this week. Back then, when I was about 18 or 19, my business partner said, you know what? I want to get it on this Bitcoin thing. I want to put in $300. I said, why would you burn $300 of money? We could buy anything with that. And, he ignored me and sort of did it. And then a few years later, he said, there's this new thing called Ethereum. I want to convert all of my Bitcoin into it. And I said, well, it's worth $6,000 now. Why would you possibly do that? Let's take it out, sell the Bitcoin, buy some servers. But we converted into Ethereum. And just this past week, it's now up over $200, and we've sold about 5.3 million so far. So those are the kind of moves that we like to play. That's the type of game that we wanted to play. And we just recently sold about $5.3 million of it. But that's not all we do. When we started out, we wanted to figure out how to apply our math and programming and everything we were learning in school to make money on the market. We knew the conventional wisdom. No one wins in the market. No one beats Wall Street. But we tried anyways. And we got pretty good when we started. The money that we were making from that company quickly grew. And by the time we were finishing up school, it became pretty clear that working on that small company was not a long-term winning endeavor. And the real winning endeavor would be if we kept managing money. So we started a hedge fund. The hedge fund has been a grind. It's been hard. And over the past 3 years, we've grown over 20 times since we started. This type of growth was not easy. Every step of the way required hustling, hard work, and, real amounts of confidence. We knew that what we were doing was good. If we didn't have that mentality, there were a number of times when we had a bad day in the market, and it sucked. But we got through it anyways, and that's how we got here today. Back when we started the fund, we had the few $100,000 that we had from Fastest Fox. We took that, made a bigger brokerage account, and got going there. Within a year, we were over $1 million. Then we started raising more and more. And now, about a year ago, we got over 10 million. And we've been growing ever since then. And the next goal is obviously $1 billion. Not there yet, but hopefully within a few years we'll get there.
Well, my name is Jonathan Chebin. I am now known as the Food God after many, many years of being on television, working in the industry behind the scenes, and now finally building my own brand. My first business was called Network PR. It was a PR firm. I had combined 3 people that I've worked with on different events from different jobs from other PR firms, because there's a certain point where you decide that you need to have your own business or you're basically not going to go anywhere. So Network PR was my first kind of big business break, and our first event was for Jennifer Lopez, and then followed by P. Diddy's White Party, and that's how everything got started. I had Network PR for about 6 years, and through that whole time, it was during the 9/11 period. It was just ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, but mostly ups because I had my own business finally. So before social media, to market this business was not easy. There was a few niche PR firms like us in the business. Otherwise, there were these huge conglomerate PR firms that had big superstar clients. But we dealt with specific kind of like celebrity events and that kind of fun stuff that people did not. So the best way was word of mouth at that point, and kind of having events with good people in the industry that started hiring us, like Tommy Hilfiger and Andre Harrell, who kind of discovered Diddy, Benny Medina, who is still J-Lo's manager. People like that would start seeing the things we were doing and would kind of work word of mouth. That was it back then. There was no Instagram, no Twitter, there was absolutely nothing. Yeah, with a business like that back then, it was literally nonstop. I had to go to dinners every night, lunches with people. Back then we were using fax machines to send invitations to people. There was really like no email invitations. Everything was kind of like hands-on, and that was really a lot of work. You were like a zombie by the end of the day. You know, to be successful, especially these days, it's constant communications. You cannot stop. I don't think I have a day off. I mean, I'm booked for like 6 months at a time. I'm finally going into like a summer holiday, but you cannot stop. It's all day, all night. You got to communicate. You got to reach out to people. I grew up in New Jersey, in Fort Lee. It was right across the bridge. I used to see the city. It was always like, wow, the big New York, big city. You know, and you just like kind of like, I don't like being local, and I always knew that I would want to go across the other side to Manhattan and do something there. I had no idea what I would do. I didn't know anything. You know, there was no reality TV back then. It was just, you're either a TV star, a movie star, or a musician. That's the only way you'd be in entertainment. So I wouldn't even comprehend watching television, realizing how I could even be a part of any of that whole thing. I mean, I don't like high school. I didn't like school at all because I knew whatever I wanted to do was not going to be, you know, in that curriculum. Knowing algebra was not for me. You know, a lot of people don't like school, but there's a reason you don't like it, just because you feel inside that that's not something that is going to drive you to get to where you are. And especially these days, kids are so much more knowledgeable of what's going on because of social media and the internet. Well, we weren't. We were just like, oh, New York's across the way. Let me take a subway to get there, cut class, and just go experience in New York. And so it's just, it's a lot. I mean, in high school, I always knew that I loved entertainment, and I loved TV, and I loved celebrity, and I loved watching those kind of shows and that kind of, you know, genre of stuff. And I was just like, how do you get from New Jersey to like Hollywood? There's no connection, and there was no Instagram in between to look at people's pictures of like what else you could do. So for me to be able to kind of go from that and then be on a huge television show, I've been on TV now for almost 10 years, because before, you know, being on the Kardashians, I was doing other shows, The Fabulous Life, and someone actually snapped me a video of it yesterday, The Fabulous Life of Donald Trump, that I did 10 years ago. And, you know, I was a talking head, and I was like, oh my God, I'm famous, this is unbelievable. And it's just, you know, you always, at your own level, you know, think you've made it already, but like I was so far away from any kind of fame or anybody knowing me. You know, one person would recognize me in a mall, and I'd be like, oh my God, that's it, this is it. But now looking back, you like have years of work before really things happen. I think my biggest passions is kind of to keep going. I like to stay relevant all the time. I do not like to rest. You know, I get lazy, but I'm sick when I do. And like, I want to watch TV, but while I'm watching TV, I'm on the phone. I'm just constantly looking at news, looking at what's going on. But my real big passions is obviously traveling and eating and anything to do with lifestyle. I love seeing some new product or new thing come out there. I'm like, I need this, I need to get that, I have to try this. So I love new stuff, and it's a constant search for new. In order to succeed, you really need to be passionate about something, and you have to keep going at it over and over. Sometimes you fail, you get back up, you fail, you get back up. That's the only way to succeed. If you just think you're going to do it and then make it, that's never happening. I don't think that's ever happened to anybody, but that's like 99.9% not going to happen. So if you start and fail and don't start again, you're a loser. Like, that just will not happen. Well, I went to school to Hofstra University in Long Island when I moved out of my house. It was great. It was a school kind of city-like, because I just needed that. I grew up in an apartment building always. We never lived in a house. So the school was amazing. First I went to Adelphi. I went on this campus and I looked at it. I'm like, this is not my vibe. And I'm just like, not going to go to this school. I walked around and I was like, this is so boring here. And then I went to Hofstra and I saw towers and buildings. And I think you always have to go where you feel comfortable. And that's why I still wanted to be kind of close to Manhattan. And I think for people out there, like it just can't be about the school. I feel like the environment is almost more important than the education, because if you're not happy, you're never going to make it. The reason I love entertainment is I used to love people's reaction to celebrities and movie premieres and all that kind of stuff. I was one of those people. I loved, you know, if there was like something going on or an event, or I was in New York and I see like a crowd or all that, I just love people's reaction. And I knew that I always loved that whole kind of celebrity thing. It was just so fun. Once again, there was no options for me to ever be on the other side of it. It was just because I'd have to be a movie star, and I don't really act. I don't sing, and those were the only options. So, you know, the influence is just like, wow, how am I going to do this and figure this out? Which was a long, hard road.